Все серьезно.
Говорите когда.
Let's start.
Даша?
Сейчас. Он сам успешно.
Да, мне в Фейсбуке чатится.
Подождите. Так, сейчас выходим. А его
Сейчас я какие штуковины.
Опусти штучку, у меня вон чижок.
нет, такого же нет.
Вот это.
Все нормально.
Тебе сейчас сказать. Упадет.
Почему пойдем?
Вот это, да.
Так?
До конца. Не бойся.
No. Okay, let's start. After you've seen this small picture here, let me cut to the less beautiful presentation. So basically, I'm talking about Meteor today. What is that? Well, that's basically a kind of sophisticated framework to develop web apps and mobile apps. What it has inside ES6, so basically you can write your code in ECMAScript 6 immediately. It will compile everything to native kind of JavaScript, and it's basically easier to write code. Next. So it's based on Node, so basically you can use pretty much every NPM package that you can access, and in the end, when you build the project for production, for let's say server with a client, it will generate a Node application. It will compile everything, minimize CSSs and everything, and well, it will have a ready solution for it. If you build it for Godot, then it will of course generate APK file for Android or package for publishing in App Store if it's for iOS. Now, Meteor has its own templating engine for HTML. I've tried to use it, but it seems weird for me. Basically, I don't think you can see it.
Template name, blah blah
Yeah,
blah.
yeah. Basically, you specify your template in a separate HTML file, provide several variables to it, and it will just kind of work. And then, well, you have a basic description for it. I didn't like it, so my obvious thing, well, I thought, no thanks, React. So yeah, you can create your apps with Angular, React, or pretty much any HTML kind of frameworks that you have. Now, yeah, you can build your projects and work on your projects from pretty much every platform that you have, Linux, Windows, Unix, whatever. Well, of course, if you decide to build your application for iOS, you'll have to do it on Mac, and Android, of course, can be done on any platform. So, what I really like about Meteor is that it has a lot of ready packages that you can use. For example, the one that I immediately tried to use was accounts. Sorry for not having this in the presentation, it's just copy-pasting from the website would be stupid. So basically, account package will allow you to, well, have accounts on your website. It has all the infrastructure for rate limit if you try to access your website too frequently and log in with incorrect data, things like that. And with provided UI packages, you can have a simple UI workflow in your HTML immediately. I've built a simple application to demonstrate that. It's kind of ugly, sorry, but well, I think it is responsive. Yeah, it is. So basically, here you see this small toggle So if you're not signed in, you see the welcome page. If you sign in, well, I use my already implemented account. I see this working application. Also, this package allows you to create your account. Basically, it's showing you specific data that you can input. And also, if you're more passionate about your project, then you can easily add Google or Facebook authentication. But of course, you will have to provide your keys and stuff to make it work. Okay. Also, what I really liked about Meteor is that it supports MongoDB from the box. So basically, you can create your collections really easily. It's like tables in MongoDB. And during development time, you don't have to set up too many variables or make configuration files for it to work. Basically, what I did for my case, again in my example, I created a collection. So basically, in MongoDB test database that Meteor created for me during the setup time, it will create a table in a way called project, and for it I specified a simple schema with basic information about fields that I want to have, and I attach it to schema. And what I was able to do is using another simple package, I could just present the schema with a form in HTML. So here, I didn't have to create specific HTMLs for input that I want to have here. I just provided the template from Meteor packaging cloud. Let me show it maybe here. Okay, no, not this. Okay. Where was it? Okay, so if I was to use a Blaze templating that Meteor provides, all I would have to do is this here. Basically, it says enable templating, and quick form is a standard form that Meteor has for rendering forms based on the schema that you have for your table. And in there I just have insert type. It could be easily set as update or read-only, but in this case I just decided to insert data. But since I'm using React for my test project, I had to kind of wrap it in a template with the React. To be honest, I copied this from internet, of course, provided template name and the parameters that it needs to have. So you can see similarities here, and I'm passing this data like the quick form would want it to have. So immediately after I add new data and new description, on submit, the form knows what to do. It inserts data into database and automatically gives me the data. What's cool about Meteor is that it sets up the hooks for adding or deleting new data or updating your database in general. And if you have permissions, if you set them up correctly, it will provide you all the data like from the box. It uses WebSockets to do that. And well, actually I connected to my test here from my phone, and I could easily, just with the same interface, delete one element, and it just instantly updates everything. Sorry. In node applications, you usually have your REST API to access data on the server. Well, Meteor kind of lets you do that on a it makes you just request a call, and you will receive data as you need it. Let me show here. So in this example here, after I show the page, I'm just calling this weird function here. So sample async, and that's inside the client folder. I'll tell you about the structure later of the project. And on the server, I have another part, this one. So it has the same kind of structure. I called the name, the call sample async, and basically Meteor can register that function to a name and process everything you need, and just present it immediately to your client, which it does. So here I just, on the server, defined a simple array, and after 3 seconds I just decided to show that it can be displayed asynchronously. After 3 seconds I present that array. So here, as you can see, when the method, which I called sample async, does work, I'm just adding the returned array to the state of the component, and later on I just display it. So here it's just waiting for 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3, bam, and displays it. So about the structure of the app, yeah, Meteor, when you create your project from command line, it will create 2 folders for you: client, server, and 1 file package, JSON, including this weird .meteor file which contains a bunch of crap. So client, of course, works for client, and it cannot see code from server, and vice versa. Server shouldn't really care much about what the client has in terms of functionality, but you can have shared code in your kind of root folder or everywhere else where you specify, and have things that will be included into client or server code automatically. So basically, when you build your code for, let's say, Cordova for Android application, it will just use this client folder. It will not actually see server. It doesn't have to. So, but it will register that a folder from outside is also accessible, and it will try to add it to current project schema. So, yes, that's pretty much it. Yep. And well, of course, the power of community also allowed me to apply a special hook for accounts. Let me show it here. So basically, I can listen to authentication callbacks in here. No, here. So basically, by adding a separate package that is, well, it's bound to Meteor's account system, it just allows me to basically listen. If I'm logging in, then show dashboard, like my main application part, and if I log out, then just go to home page. Well, yeah, well, Meteor also comes with a set of great tools for example, working with databases. um, let me describe it differently. Due to nature of Meteor's subscriptions for databases fields, it's sometimes impossible to understand how much data you actually have loaded in your application. So I installed a package specifically for that. Mango, Meteor toys, all things. And if I press Ctrl M, you see a few pop-ups. So it can show me that, okay, there are no users loaded, and there is no data loaded from the tables that I used for this example. But when I log in, yeah, there are still no fields here, but if I add AAA test field and description, now let me hide that for a moment. Bam, immediately the tool shows me, okay, there's a bunch of data that you've loaded, and it will be really helpful if you just subscribe to, for example, every field from your database, and you need to narrow it down to just a few fields, like, for example, name or just owner. So this is a really helpful tool. Actually, I used it to understand if I unsubscribe from the tables when I leave the page. For example, right here you see, okay, there's one field loaded for this page, but if I go to different page here, oh, I broke something. Oh no. Just needed to wait. So there are no projects loaded anymore. So using this tool, I was able to actually understand if I unload data and don't overload the browser basically with correct data. Well, things to mention in Score when you build a project for a server. Basically, it creates just a node app. You will not need to have Meteor on your actual server. Of course, you can have Kubernetes and stuff like that, but Meteor also provides their own service, kind of cheap, to host your applications, and using just command line interface, you can publish your app to Galaxy. There's service is called Galaxy, I think.
Not Samsung.
What?
Not Samsung.
What Samsung?
Galaxy.
No. Come on, it was here somewhere. Galaxy. So yeah, for cents per hour, you don't need to have a bunch of DevOps to publish and support your application. It's pretty much a steady service that you just use, and you don't have to worry about deployment, continuous integration much. It's kind of working from the box. I haven't tried it, but I think I will in the future. That's it. Any questions? Come on, don't be shy.
Yeah, questions about how big community, how popular this tool, this framework.
Well, it's been around for 4 or 5 years already, and on the main page you can see that a bunch of, well, big fellows in the world use it. For example, Mazda, IKEA, whatever that is. And well, the community is kind of big. I don't have exact numbers, but Stack Overflow is, well, it has every solution that you have, which means that everybody uses it. And
It offers something performance-wise, or only when we think about more comfortable synthesis.
what do you mean exactly? What?
I mean,
What benefits, yes?
yeah, performance benefits. Are there any?
It's just a node app. It can be as performant as crappy your code is.
Okay.
Sorry. Anything else? Well, performance, it's still a JavaScript, right?
So if you need to get to the actual data, in your example you showed us the count, the data. You know how to access the data and just in case of maintenance of the data.
Oh, well, you could use terminal.
Uh-huh.
I think it was Mongo. No, Meteor. Did I have it? Ah, so much. Mongo. Just wait for it. Shall we come back in a year? Oh, it's working. Okay, show project. I don't think I remember the exact commands, and
Okay, I got you. So
Yeah.
there is a tool for that.
yeah, basically it's a simple Mongo command line interface. You can access everything you want.
What about other database?
Well, it's your choice. I mean, basic application setup has MongoDB included. So, yeah, in fact, I didn't show you the packages file. It's basically, you can add every package that you want to use from Meteor's community. Basically, these are still NPM packages. They are just wrapped for Meteor. And as you can see, this project does have Mongo included. But if you wish, you can always just, comment it out or delete it, and there you have it. You don't have Mongo for your project. And
Yeah, but how hard is to set up another database?
well, on other project we had SQLize, right? So it would be as hard as that. So yeah, you just set up connection, configuration, and everything else. It's just a node app wrapped in this framework.
And how do you configure a database?
Well,
Meteor?
I only worked with SQLize, so it was just a bunch of configuration files like JSON and a few JavaScript files. Just set up ports and that's it.
So you used, in your example, SQLize to communicate with Mongo?
This one?
Yes.
No. This one uses MongoDB. That's a default database for Meteor applications.
So you don't have any configuration, just
No
goes by default?
configurations whatsoever. It's
Okay.
just Meteor knows that for its current project, it has a specific database. We don't even know how it's named. We just
Mhm.
connect to it. Although when you do publish your app, when you make a published version of your applications, you will need to configure your database communications. Like you need to set up the server and stuff like that. But for development, what we have here is really easy, and you can basically start creating an app really easy. Anything else?
I have a question. project types or targets for Meteor framework?
Project types?
Yeah.
Well, I think I already mentioned that this, of course, is node applications, right? You can create your Cordova application, so immediately it's Android, iOS, and I think desktop as well. So yeah, these platforms. Well, if we talk about perverts, there are some people who can, who manage to connect React Native applications with Meteor's server. So basically, they get the same responsive kind of feel to database. So you have like native UI implementations with React Native and MongoDB on the server. Actually, yeah, I do want to talk about maybe MongoDB implementation for Meteor, just in a few words. So actually, in Meteor, Mongo is created in two instances. One is actual database on your server, and one is a kind of temporary database in your working application in browser. So the way it works is it's like when you add data to your database, like, let me just show specific code here. So I have one single collection here, right? And I provided another Meteor's function to delete project based on ID. So this code will actually work on two instances. So this project's file is in a root folder of applications. So both client and server will be aware of this collection. And client will have its temporary collection stored as well. So when we remove something from client, like there, then this local database will try to communicate with server, with sockets as well. And if you have set up your kind of permissions right, then it will do the same thing on the backend. But if backend will not allow a particular user to delete data, for example, then the local version of the client will be updated back or reverted back to the state of data that database on server has. So in this way, there's kind of more security, like here, maybe you've seen for this collection, I allowed to insert data to everybody else who has a specific ID. Well, basically logged into the system, so you can play around with it. So also this allows kind of to create a more responsive UI in a way. Meteor folks call it a optimistic UI, so you basically have some sort of new data on your client and you can immediately see it, but if database decided, on the server decided to revert back to initial state, then the client will be immediately updated to the correct data. So it's kind of working automatically without even you noticing it.
Okay, charts are good framework implementing that, yes?
Chat applications?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, on the features page from MongoDB showcase. Okay, Mazda, it's on application for cars. There is a Trello kind of clone to manage your daily work. So basically, quite a lot of chat-like applications. There used to be an application which is similar to kind of role-playing game. So it's like motivation building application that I don't see anymore. Oh man, it was cool. Well, that's basically it. Any other questions?
Looks very interesting.
Yeah, it does.
No more questions? Right.
Well,
Thank you.
still I'm too much of a geek to let go. So from what I've told, it seems like you can only build applications that are really bonded with your server, but actually in the case of mobile applications, if you want to create just Android and iPhone applications, you don't need a server. So there is a possibility simply to just disable access to database on the server, because there would be no such thing. And it would work with local instance of it. So that's one thing to explore in the future, actually. Yeah, we really like to create a kind of production-ready applications.
So did I get it right? So say if I need to create just a client application, mobile or web, I can also use Meteor.
Yeah.
Okay.
The-
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexander.